Hello and welcome to Nightly Scroll. I'm Haley Carania, and yes, this is day 2 from the swamp. We are here at Rumble Studios in Capitol Hill, and they've been so good to us and so kind to us to allow them to use the space down here, and it has been wonderful. I'm loving the city, especially because today I get to sit down with my Silverlock partner in crime, Vince Colonnese. So that interview is coming to you in just a few minutes, but first, I want to tell you about Newsom. So, newsflash. Your neck shows your age, of course. So we are introducing brand new technology, the Genucell neckline lift with dual peptide and MDL technology, Genucell's most advanced technology ever. It could not only help tighten saggy neck skin around your neck and chin, but it could also help plump the lipophilic layers of your skin to help contour and define the neckline within minutes using peptides and metolactones together. It works amazingly quick and you could see results right away. With Genucell's MDL technology, Genucell's brand new neckline lift specifically targets the delicate skin on the neck area to help you see tight, healthy, younger looking skin, and you will see your mirror smiling back at you right away. 100% of your money back. That is a guarantee, no questions asked. That is within 120 days. So if you don't see results, which you will, you can get your money back just in case. So order now and get the Genucell immediate effects for noticeable results within minutes of your order. No double chin, no turkey neck, no sagging neckline, because no one needs to know your age. That is Genucell.com/scroll, Genucell.com/scroll. Order now and get free priority shipping. Just go to Genucell.com/scroll, Genucell.com/scroll. I also want to tell you about Masa chips. Did you know that chips used to be fried in tallow up until the 1990s when big corporations switched to cheap processed seed oils? Ew. Today, seed oils make up about 20% of the average American's daily calories, and recent studies have linked seed oils to metabolic health issues and inflammation in the body. Well, Masa chips, they have decided to do something about it. They created tasty and delicious tortilla chips with just 3 ingredients. And yes, no seed oils included. So you could feel good about this. Not only do they eliminate the bad stuff, they taste great, they are filling, and you don't get that heavy, sluggish feeling after you eat them. They're also really crisp and they're hefty. Like you can dip into your salsa and your guac and they are not going to break. These are the best chips ever. We absolutely love them here in the office. It is hard to find snacks that keeps everyone happy, but we are thrilled with Masa chips, and Masa takes care of all of those health concerns so you can feel good about eating them. Masa chips is beloved by tens of thousands of customers and has been endorsed by industry-leading health and nutrition experts. Are you ready to give Masa a try? You should be. Go to masachips.com/scroll and use code SCROLL for 25% off your first order. That is masachips.com/scroll and use code SCROLL for 25% off your first order. Okay, so I am in DC. Without further ado, I'm going to head on over to Vince's radio studio where he has allowed me to sit in his seat to interview him. You might have seen me on his show earlier today, so more fun where that came from. Put your phones on Do Not Disturb. Nightly Scroll starts right. Thank you for letting me use your studio, share your studio. I feel very much at home. I kicked you out of your seat, but thank you for joining Nightly Scroll.
No, this is the way it works, baby. I'm accustomed to it. It's great. And when I come down to Florida, you guys are generous enough to let me use that studio, so it's cool. The only thing is I've got to move like your jersey and stuff on the shelf to try. I'm like, I gotta masculinize this just a little bit when I go down.
I know. And I did the show for a few weeks, because Dan did 1 or 2 shows from his gorgeous studio before he left to go to the FBI, right?
Isn't that unreal?
And now we get to use it. So it is so great. But there was a football helmet. There was some other Bongino Army stuff. And Paula texted me and she said, you can make the studio your own now. It's just you in there. So I started adding some other things. And then when you come in, everything shifted around. And Guy surprised me by putting a crazy cat lady little figurine there. So sometimes I come in and things are shifted around and it's always a good surprise though.
How many cats do you have?
Just 1. I don't think that's crazy.
That sounds rational.
You want to hear a crazy story about how I got her though?
Yeah.
So when I was working in Nashville, I worked for Tommy Lahren. I worked on her show. Yeah. That was one of the 6 podcasts that I oversaw at Outkick. And she's a massive animal lover. And so she came into the studio and told us that the night before, her husband was locking up for the night,
came and, on the front porch, there was a crying kitten, like this big, so tiny, so small. She was 4 pounds and she was soaking wet, crying. She must have been in the rain. So they brought her in, but they have 2 dogs. Yeah. So it was a mess. It was chaos. They had to keep the kittens separate from the dogs and all that. So she comes into the studio the next day and says, her husband works in Syracuse. He works for the Mets. And she was going to New York for Fox stuff. And she said, I have a dog sitter, but I can't leave the dog sitter with my 2 dogs and a kitten, and I can't do that. So she says, I need someone to take this cat. And I said, well, I'll watch her for the weekend. Famous last words. Famous last words. This is like a massive foster fail story, but I took her for the weekend, and then the weekend turned into forever. So now I have my cat Birdie, and she is very cute. So
is she's still cute?
She is still cute.
And she's good. She's a good cat.
She's great. So she's a tuxedo cat. I don't know I know you have dogs, but tuxedo cats are very dog-like. And she's very cuddly, very friendly.
Yeah.
She's open to strangers. She'll come and lick you. She plays fetch. She's very dog-like.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, she's really cute. I grew up with cats, but I love dogs. I love all animals. I wasn't expecting to have a pet.
Yes.
I just moved to Nashville, and I figured I'd like to be free from,
That just sounds like the best of both worlds, because like the reason you like dogs is because they're so wonderful and obedient, enthusiastic about seeing you.
Right.
And the reason you like cats is because they're self-sufficient.
Right.
Because they take care of themselves.
So she's all of that.
So you're telling me she does it all.
She really does it all.
That's cool.
Yeah, I got very, very lucky. But so I'm in D.C. now for the week. I was going to do a Republican Study Committee new media event that got canceled because of this shutdown. And I was joking on my show yesterday because I haven't covered the shutdown because I don't care.
Sure.
So I was hoping...
So it's not affecting your life every single day?
Right,
you don't wake up being like, is the government open yet?
Right. So because I don't care about it, that doesn't mean that it doesn't matter. So I wanted you to share with me why I should matter. Why the government shutdown should matter to me.
Why it should matter to you. That's a great question. I am basically with you. It's one of those things like... It happens. It's definitely happened a bunch in American history.
Right.
And every time it happens, it's a forgettable experience because you don't even remember when the last one was. You're like, when did we have one of those? It's not like COVID where it just upended the world. It's just It's a government shutdown. And by the way, we don't really like what the government does most of the time. So why am I that enthused about keeping it open? I would say the downside, the measurable downside, is that if you're a member of the military, if you're like an entry-level member of the military, you don't have a lot of money saved and you're relying on those paychecks every 1st and 15th. Well, you're in a situation now where you're not going to be receiving them until the Democrats reopen the government. And so you want to do that to privates and corporals. You want to really keep them from getting their pay. That's insane to me. Stop holding them hostage for your own cruel political purposes. So that matters a great deal to me. Also, here's one thing that I've been obsessing over. I want President Trump to shrink the government as much as humanly possible. Mm-hmm. And the thing that I keep hearing is that the president has an ability that's unique during a shutdown to fire even more people. How often do we hear, oh, it's so difficult to fire federal employees. They have all these civil service protections. It's very, very difficult to get rid of them. During a shutdown, he has extra power. He has extra power to shrink the government. He can lay people off. This is why everyone's saying, like,
more Doge, more Doge, more Doge.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So I just like the rest of our audience, because I know I'm very familiar with the audience that we get the privilege of speaking to all the time. I'm right there with them when they're saying right now in chat, like, stop talking about it and do it.
Right.
Stop talking about shrinking the government and actually do it. So I see this as an opportunity, which is why, like, I have a White House correspondent at the Daily Caller, the great Reagan Reese, who I keep asking. I'm like, just ask, when are they laying people off? When are they going to fire everybody? I just asked Speaker of the House Mike Johnson yesterday. I'm like, are you hearing anything? Are they firing anybody yet?
Right.
So I'm all about it. So insofar as you should care about this, it's an opportunity to shrink your government. And insofar as you want the government to be reopened, it's so that people like the troops can get paid again.
This is great. But part of me thinks this is so ceremonial. It seems ceremonial and symbolic to me.
Yeah.
And I know that it does shut down, right? Everyone talks about, the lights are going to turn off and, oh my gosh, what's going to happen here, right? But it seems to me like if you're shutting down their pay, they're not getting their pay, but then they're going to get back pay. Why can't we just keep the military open? And it just seems like if they're going to get paid anyway, why?
Yeah, why are we going through this
And why are
garbage?
the Democrats blaming the Republicans, and why are the Republicans blaming the Democrats? And when do we think this is going to be over? Because I know you talked to Speaker Johnson recently. So when does he think this is going to
They don't.
come
So
to an
nobody. I honestly, you can usually kind of read the tea leaves and be like, oh, this thing's ending in the next few days. I honestly, at this point, we don't know. And that goes for the president, who Reagan Reese did ask the president this yesterday, and the president was like, I don't know. It's up to the Democrats. When are we going to get this thing open? It's really simple. If you haven't been following it in detail, the basic point is this: Republicans just want a little bit more time to negotiate so that they can get 12 regular appropriations bills passed. It's been a long time since that's happened in Washington. Mike Johnson, who was elected in a very controversial speaker race, ends up being the
Right.
guy. He's the consensus candidate. He takes over as Speaker of the House. And so his promise is like, guys, I'm going to do it regular. I'm going to do 12 regular appropriations bills. All right. Well, they didn't do it by September 30th. And he says the reason for that is because it's been so long since Congress has done it. They don't have the muscle memory for it anymore. So he's just asking for some more time. He says, all I want to do, September 30th is the end of the fiscal year. He's just give us 7 more weeks of funding. 7 more weeks of the same old stupid funding the government's been operating on. No changes whatsoever. 7 more weeks of that. So that's what they call a clean CR.
Right.
Just 7. That's it. Democrats refuse. Why do they refuse? Well, if you look at the legislation that they put forward, they want to give funding to illegal aliens. They want to get rid of the entire Trump agenda. They want to roll back the big, beautiful bill. They want to go back to the factory settings of the Biden era. That's what they're demanding to reopen the government. And so really, you're fighting over 7 weeks of funding? So there's no scenario where you can look at Republicans and go, this is your fault. No, they just asked for 7 weeks of the same old crappy spending we were doing in the past. Democrats shut it down because they have a very radical base that's demanding very radical action. And this is why, I mean, you look at, this matters a lot. And I talked to Speaker Johnson about this too, and he agrees. In New York, specifically, where Chuck Schumer is from, he is worried that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is going to primary him. That she wants a bigger office, because obviously she's so smart and brilliant that she deserves a bigger office. She deserves way more influence over your life.
Of course.
She wants to be a U.S. senator, and her opportunity is to unseat Chuck Schumer. So she's looking for opportunities to divide that base in New York, and this is one of them. So if Schumer had said, yeah, let's keep the government open, AOC tells her radical base,
right,
he's not working for you.
Schumer's siding with the Republicans.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right.
So Schumer feels AOC breathing down his neck, so he'd rather shut the government down than imperil his own 5,000 years in the Senate.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, so thank you for this explanation. I care this much more about the government shutdown.
Yeah.
But at least now I have an understanding of why this matters and what this all means. So I thank you for that. But it seems like in the last few weeks, we've been seeing even more so this reminder that the Democrats are the party of lawlessness and chaos.
100%.
And they show no remorse either, which is very concerning because it just seems like they're ratcheting up this rhetoric, this violent rhetoric. And we're seeing this resurgence of Antifa in these Democrat blue city strongholds, and especially in the Pacific Northwest with Antifa. But I feel like we saw Antifa go crazy in 2020. And it was George Floyd, and they would just hop on any opportunity to bash through windows and ruin small businesses and things like this. They would just wreak havoc.
Yeah.
And it was during Trump. And they slowed down during the Biden administration. And now they're back again. And it just seems like President Trump is the catalyst for these lawless groups that just want to wreak havoc, and they blame Trump for everything. And now that Trump is in office again, 4 years later, it's the same old dance.
Well, it's an attack on the American voter. It's a rejection on your decision in the 2024 election to empower Trump. And the view on the left is we have to, by any means necessary, regain power. And so how do we do that? Well, we activate our foot soldiers. We send out it really feels like whenever I see this, and especially like you see the mugshots of the people with the crazy hair, they look like they just opened an insane asylum and just released everybody to attack the cities.
That is Antifa. Pink hair, blue hair, green hair, septum piercings.
I always think I'm pretty sure that's a plot from Batman. Like the Joker opens up Arkham Asylum and he's like wreak havoc on Gotham. And now Batman has to clean it up. And so in this equation, like Trump's kind of Batman. He's like the rich guy with all the tools at his disposal to try and clean things up.
Right.
And And the left, they're like full-blown Batman villains. So they've released Arkham Asylum to attack American cities. And you're right to detect the pattern here, because when Trump was in office in the first place, as they're barreling towards the 2020 election, the left activated the merchants of chaos, the agents of chaos. I call them AOCs. The agents of chaos get activated going into the 2020 election.
That's good. I like that.
And when they do, the effect of that is that voters feel that things are not in control, because they're not. And when voters feel like that, they blame the incumbent. At least that's the traditional political science on that question. And so in all of the ways we talk about the left rigging the 2020 election, you can't discount the chaos that they caused in America's streets. And if you are at all doubtful of me putting this forward as being the left being responsible broadly, the institution of the left being responsible for this chaos, remember back, there was an article written in the wake of the 2020 election, after Joe Biden is president of the United States. Time magazine wrote a piece about I forget what they call it. It was like the quest to save the 2020 election. And it was a breakdown of all of the things the left did in order to stop Trump from returning to the White House. And it talked about changing the way people vote. It emphasized that. It emphasized that the AFL-CIO took a commanding position in all of the organization of the left. But the detail that I always paid the closest attention to in that article was that they had to make a decision about whether or not they deployed people to the streets on election night of 2020.
Right.
They made a decision about deploying foot soldiers to the streets. And you look at that and you go, this is them taking credit for the agents of chaos.
Right.
So, in other words, like the left, this is why when we talk about like a RICO investigation, there it is. There it is, for those of you watching on screen. The secret history of the shadow campaign that saved the 2020 election. Yeah, the written by Molly Ball. They were talking about whether or not they would deploy foot soldiers to the streets. And they said, no, actually, the results look like it's going well for us right now. We don't need to do that. Let's keep them off the streets for now.
Yeah.
And so that was a centrally controlled decision. That's all a long way of saying that what you're witnessing right now is a part of that same operation.
Right.
Which is like, they hate that Trump is succeeding.
Right.
They hate that voters rejected the left. And so how do we resolve that? Well, we're coming towards a midterm right now. The midterms are arriving. Another electoral opportunity to basically strip the voters of what they wanted. So let's just make things more chaotic. And we're seeing it happen right now.
Absolutely. And we can't really talk about this chaos without George Soros, because that name pops up all the time when we talk about these dark money groups that are funding the Antifas and these other violent organizations that fund these protesters. And it seems like, it's very convenient. And I read this article, I didn't know if you saw this, that Black Lives Matter, and it's actually not just Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter has a longer government name, which is Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, which sounds very ominous, doesn't it? So they are suing the Tides Foundation, which is backed by George Soros. Yeah. They're claiming that, there's a lot of Black Lives Matter money that is tied up in the Tides Foundation that they don't have. They don't know where it is. It's millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. So this just goes to show how deeply corrupt these groups are that are funding all this chaos.
So think about that, though. So first of all, like, everybody knows that the Black Lives Matter thing was nothing more than a money grab.
A shell foundation for.
It bought a bunch of mansions for, whatever that lady, Patrice Cullors or whatever her name is.
Right.
And BLM stands for Buy Large Mansions. Like that's what it was all about. And then, of course, it was about chaos in American cities. Did more Black lives get saved because of the work of Black Lives Matter?
Don't think so.
No, actually, more Black lives were lost.
Yep.
People like David Dorn were gunned down in the streets of the United States because of Black Lives Matter. So that was all bullshit. And then
and their businesses were burned to the ground in Minneapolis and the like.
And Soros having their money to use as he wills, does that help Black lives? No, it doesn't, because you know what ends up happening? Soros gets a bunch of prosecutors who don't actually prosecute criminals. Those criminals get back out on the streets, and who do they invariably kill statistically?
White people.
Well, white people eventually, but
right.
But black people, a lot of black people.
Well, there's black on black crime, but then I'm thinking of these corrupt DAs in Charlotte, North Carolina, who let these people out and they kill the Irina Zarutska,
a Ukrainian refugee. No, in that case, yes, you're right. That's a black assailant. But just like in everything, most crimes are committed typically by people that you know well and live in your community.
Right,
That's usually
of course.
the person you're most likely to be victimized by. So Irina Zarutska is an expression of a bigger problem. Imagine just being a black law-abiding citizen living in a violent community wishing that somebody would come to your aid. Sorry, George Soros fucked over your justice system,
Right.
and you don't have anybody to stop the criminals. So, yeah, BLM went great. Everybody got robbed, and everything became more dangerous. Good job, everybody.
It's been great. Thank you, George Soros. Thank you to all of the protesters. It's been wonderful. And thank you to the Biden administration that did nothing. And Kamala Harris, of course, who wanted to bail these freaks out of jail. So thank you to all of them. And to your point on your show earlier this morning, you were saying, thank goodness that we have the Trump administration in office. And thank you to all the voters and the listeners who clearly voted for President Trump. We are in a much better place now than we would have been, God forbid, if Kamala Harris was our president. But we have to talk about this massive corruption of the Biden administration and the Biden DOJ, specifically spying on Republican senators after Mar-a-Lago was raided, after they went through Melania's underwear drawer and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So the deed was done, but they kept going because the corruption for them isn't over. The corruption it was just beginning. It was Comey and all of his cronies weaponizing the justice system against Republicans. And if they could do that to sitting senators, right? What are they doing to people like you and me?
What chance do we have?
Right. And that's the very scary question that I have, because I operate under the notion that now we're in the public eye and my phone is probably tapped by whoever, and I'm very careful about who I text and what I say over the phone and what memes I'm sent and what I respond to and everything, because I just don't know. And it shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't live in fear of the government watching our every move, but here we are.
So let me ask you a question about this, because I have this thought process, and I wonder if you do too. Are your instincts that, like, anything you send or say,
Yes.
you think to yourself, would I be able to defend this if this was public?
Yep.
If this was ever made public in some capacity, would I be able to explain the conversation the way
Yes.
I'm talking right now?
I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
I don't even, if someone sends me something controversial, I don't even sometimes respond, because I think if this ever got out, I don't even want there to be any question.
I will say there is a fundamental difference, at least I've found in my life. Maybe you have too. Conservatives don't wish for the murder of their political opponents. I don't. Maybe there are conservatives out there who think like this, and I certainly don't know them. I don't encounter this in my everyday life, like, at all. I never do. But boy, I can't say the same for the left.
Right.
Because for instance, in Virginia right now, they've got
Jay
the
Jones?
Jay Jones saga.
Tweeting
And so that guy,
about wishing death on the House leader there and
Yes.
calling his children fascist. I mean, what? I have never thought to call people on the left names like that, because it's not rooted in reality.
No.
But they're living in this alternate reality that they've created, that we are the enemy.
But my view has always been, like, I just want to defeat them in a fair fight. I
Right.
just want to win in an electoral bout. I want our ideas to be a contest, and I want voters to vote for whoever has the best ideas. And maybe that's Pollyannish. I don't know. That's certainly, I think, the view that holds the country together.
Right.
But the left is overtaken, and I'm not talking about at the low sort of purple-haired foot soldier level. I'm saying at the top levels, like the guy who's the attorney general nominee for the state is texting a Republican lawmaker in the state. You know what that Todd Gilbert needs? 2 bullets in the head.
Right.
If we had, what was it? Oh, it was Pol Pot, Hitler, and Todd Gilbert were in the room together. 2 bullets to Todd, and then I would kill his children. And now they've got an allegation that apparently he said that a couple of cops need to die in order to
Yes.
reform the cops. Like, who talks like this?
No, it's sick.
Never in a million years. The furthest I go is, like, I want to see, like, somebody who broke a law have their face slammed into the ground as they're arrested. That's as far as I'm going. But to see them killed, that's insane.
No, I know. And it really isn't the same, because I say this on my show all the time. I joke. I said, the worst I do is call you retarded. That's the worst I do.
Yeah.
I don't wish death on you, but sometimes you're retarded and I'll call you out for it. And sometimes we'll put a sombrero on your head, and sometimes we'll even throw in a larger sombrero and sometimes a mustache, but I don't want you to die. So we are not the same. But speaking of memes, I want to end the show as I normally do with scrolling time. So we're going to do it very quickly, because I know you've got to, I have a limited time with you, but this is going to be a rapid fire scrolling time. I want your reaction to this first video. A teacher assigned a Charlie Kirk homework assignment, and this is what that assignment was. And parents were outraged online, but I want you to see this.
This is your homework. Yeah.
What did the teacher say when he gave it to you?
She was sad.
She was sad?
Yeah. I can't read.
Okay.
Teacher seemingly upset that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, which
Yeah.
is the normal human reaction.
I could read that for like a fraction of a second. It just seemed like biographical details
Right.
about
How did
Charlie.
he die?
Yeah.
Did he have a family, et cetera, things like that. So not super politically charged by any means, but the parent was concerned and the comment section, outraged. Parents were outraged. If my child brought this home, I would be outraged. They wouldn't fill it out. I would let them take the bad grade for not filling it out. You're a parent. What would your reaction be if a teacher brought something like this home? It seems pretty benign to me, but what do you think?
He loved being a father and valued his family deeply. True or false? That's very controversial. Yeah, true. I'd be actually super encouraged if my daughter brought this home. I have an 11-year-old. If she brought this home and this was what'd you do at school today? We talked about Charlie Kirk. You did? What did you talk
Right.
about? We talked about that he was a father, that he was a Christian, that he supported dialogue, that he was proud of having his family.
Right.
And he observed the Sabbath each week. What? This is very controversial stuff.
Very. And it's, like you said, it's biographical. It's not that it's super politically charged in any
Yes.
way, but of course, liberal parents are super upset.
It doesn't even say anything about his politics. Like, he believed in cutting taxes. Like, it doesn't. It's just like, so why? There's nothing controversial. I'd be for it. One of my favorite things, though, is my daughter told me that at school, one of the insults that the kids were wielding last year is that they would refer to each other as Kamala voters.
Oof.
That was the insult at school, and I was
Knife to the heart.
It brought a song to my heart and a tear to my eye. I was so excited to hear that.
Have you seen that viral video of the dad, or there's a little girl crying, and the mom says, "Why are you crying? Daddy called me a Democrat."
Yes.
So
That would be a problem in my house.
yes, exactly. The next one, this guy is talking about how he used to be liberal, but he's been forced to be conservative now. Watch this.
So I grew up liberal. All my friends grew up liberal. I was terrified the first time Trump got elected. I was still in high school. But me and all my friends have transitioned to the right. And I was explaining it to my mom, who isn't happy about that. And I was like, Mom, as a straight white dude, we had no other choice. We're becoming the enemy to the left, in the left. So why would I stay in the left as a straight white male? We're literally exactly what they hate the most. So we really had no choice. It's not that I wanted to be on the right or whatever. It's that we had no choice. There was no place for us to stay there. So it's just something to think about.
As a straight white male, I just wanted your quick reaction.
I totally agree. I
Yeah.
mean, why would I don't know, but it's not just straight white men who are under attack by the left. It's anybody who has any basic conception of what it means to be like a normal functioning biological human. Like, if you believe that there's a distinction between men and women, you're not welcome on the left.
Right.
If you believe that it's worth starting a family and that actually should be a primary life goal,
Right.
you're not really welcome on the left. All of that is demonized.
And don't you think it's interesting? He said, I was terrified when Trump was in office the first time when I was in high school. What or who made this high schooler terrified of President Trump? Maybe his mother, who's liberal, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it was the schools. But why are we bringing up this next generation to be terrified of anything? We're living in the greatest country of all time,
I
you know?
I know.
It's fabricated.
It is. It's really sad, but good for him. That's got to be challenging. It's one thing, I'm like a cradle Catholic, and I love that, and I grew up in a house with conservative parents. I think it takes a certain form of courage and bravery to be like, actually, no,
I don't
I'm
agree
not
with
with
you.
I don't
Right.
agree with you. I love you, but I'm not on the same page as you. So I admire that.
I do too. Last one for you, because I know you got to go, but this one I just found funny. Here is the issue of low testosterone on the left among men. Watch.
Oh, sorry I'm late. Hey, sir, welcome in. What time was your appointment?
Why do you assume I'm a man?
Well, never mind. What time was your appointment?
Well, it was at 2, and it's 4 o'clock now, but it's not my fault. Society's out to get me.
Okay, I don't even want to know. Just take the iPad, check it. All right, so what brings you in today, sir? Day?
Honestly, Doc, I'm just here because I've been feeling
Oppressed?
Yeah, and I've just been feeling like a victim of the patriarchy, and I don't even have the energy to go to the protests.
Yes! Yeah, that's low T. I'm going to put you on 200 milligrams of test a week. I'm going to see you back here in 30 days. Welcome back, Vay.
Sir,
All right, what time is your appointment?
5 o'clock. I'm actually 10 minutes early.
All right, we're 30 days on T. Any lingering feelings of oppression?
Oppression. What am I, a sissy?
Okay, great. Loss of victim mentality and any lingering frustrations with society's power structures?
How about this for a power structure?
Great. Patient no longer concerned with mindless nonsense? Kinda. And how about those protests?
Doc, I have a job now. I don't have time to protest.
Yes! Well, looks like you were never a liberal after all. You just had low T.
It's an epidemic.
You know what? There may be something to that. I wouldn't discount that. I do think that there's a societal impact that's probably worth studying. You know, speaking of testosterone, I saw Tucker did an interview with Charlie Sheen recently.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Sheen, I think he's got a book out. He's doing a book.
We
tour.
need more Tiger Blood. What is it? Tiger Blood? That was Charlie Sheen's
that
thing?
whole sequence
Tiger
of events,
Blood and tea.
that
and
sequence,
we'll fix it.
That sequence of events in his life where he was going on camera and like doing those crazy interviews, like it was winning, and
Yeah.
then he does this whole thing. It's like it's got tiger blood flowing through my veins. That was he said he was ODing on testosterone. That he
Oh.
was like rubbing like
Testosterone
he was
gel
rubbing
on?
testosterone cream all over his body, and he said he did it like 400 times the amount you're supposed to do. And
Okay.
so the effect of that was like people would be like, "Do you have drugs in the house right now?" The interviewer would be like, "Do you have drugs in the house right now?" You want to go find them? Let's go find them. Let's go. And he's like standing up. He's like, "Now we'll go on a hunt. We'll find them. If we find them, we'll throw them out." And he's going to like completely manic and like, "Yeah, whatever you want." And I never knew until I heard that interview that apparently he went a little overboard. So there's a middle ground.
Right.
in
There's
other
a
words,
healthy level
between-
of testosterone that we
between,
should strive for.
hunting for cocaine remnants in your house and having tiger blood, and then all of the American left. So there's somewhere in the middle is exactly where our country needs to be.
Exactly. Well, Vince, thank you so much for being on Nightly Scroll. It was so much fun. Thank you for letting me use your studio. It's been real.
It's been good seeing you, Haley.
Thank you.